Good morning. Yesterday was the first round of the U.S. Open golf tournament. They'll be playing the second round today there at Wingfoot Golf Club. The U.S. Open is always so exciting. It's an incredible tournament. But watching yesterday the highlights of the first round of the Open, I couldn't help but think about Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus. They had so many incredible duels at the U.S. Open. You remember earlier this year that Phil Greenwald and Wendy Lambert and Josh Hadaway and I all traveled up to Pittsburgh to go interview Rabbi Myers, who is Rabbi Myers is the leader of the congregation at Tree of Life Synagogue, where there was the terrible shooting. We were in Pittsburgh, but then we also went south down to Latrobe. Latrobe, Pennsylvania is where Fred Rogers was born, and we wanted to go to the Fred Rogers Museum, and I told you a lot about that. But Latrobe is also where Arnold Palmer was born. He and Fred Rogers were friends. They were 1 year apart in school. Now, he grew up there with his father, Deacon Palmer, being the groundskeeper for the Latrobe Country Club. It's a small little place, but a lovely little place. And that's where Arnold Palmer really kind of learned to play golf when all the members weren't on the course. Later, he became so incredibly successful, became so wealthy, he bought the Latrobe Country Club. It is such a historic place and so tied with Arnold Palmer. We were there in the off-season, and so nothing was really going on, but there was a lady at the reception desk when we went out to go see the Latrobe Country Club. And she was very gracious and said, just go ahead and wander through the facilities. So we took off to go see the big ballroom there in the country club, and then there was the dining room and the bar and grill. We just wandered all over the place looking at all the wonderful trophies and pictures of Arnold Palmer and his wonderful career. There was those 4 Masters wins, and you could see him getting the green jacket. And then there was the 1960 U.S. Open, played at Cherry Hills in Denver, and that's where Arnold Palmer came in first, and Jack Nicklaus came in second. And then there's pictures of the U.S. Open at Oakmont in 1962, and Jack Nicklaus won, and Arnold Palmer came in second. In the through the 1960s, Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus were the 2 dominant players, and they would come in first and second in 5 major championships. And you could see this rivalry just grow. Early on, they were real competitors, and there was real jealousy and competition and struggle between the two. In some ways, that competition would go on all their lives. Arnold Palmer liked telling the story of years later, after both of them were retired, a friend handed him a copy of a memorabilia catalog, things that were for sale. And he couldn't help but flip open and look, and sure enough, there was Arnold Palmer, and what was for sale in the catalog was a golf ball that he had signed. It was for sale for $48.50. And of course, what did he do? He wanted to check out Jack Nicklaus. And he said there, Jack Nicklaus actually had a golf ball that he had signed that was for sale, and it was for sale for $60. Arnold immediately said, I knew that I had signed more golf balls than he did, and that's why his was worth more. He said it, of course, jokingly, because you see, something happened through the years. Because of their 2 wives, these 2 men had become great friends. They had learned so much about each other, and though they competed and each wanted to be their best, they become great friends, and they were there for each other. This Sunday, we're going to be talking about this very issue of jealousy, competition, rivals. It was tearing the church apart in Corinth, and Paul would address it in his 1 Corinthians 13, in the whole letter, but in 1 Corinthians 13, he really helped to talk about it when he said, love is patient and kind, and it is never jealous, or boastful, or arrogant, or rude. Jealousy, competition, it tears up our families. It tears up friendships. It tears up an office. And it's really not the way to find happiness and joy. Just as Paul told the early church, Love is not jealous or boastful or arrogant or rude. We're going to look at that this Sunday, and we're going to see how do we be our best in this world, and yet keep the things that matter the most in the front, and know that we're not going to be jealous of one another. No, instead, through Christ's love, we're going to learn how to love our neighbors with no exception. I look forward to worshiping with you this Sunday. Have a great day and enjoy the U.S. Open.